Welcome to the first episode of the Mental Greens podcast. My name is Tasia, and my brother will be joining me for this conversation as we speak about mental health, families, and parenting, and we dip our toe into relationships just a little bit. So I hope that you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for the support. If you choose to join in the comments and have some conversation, you have any questions or anything like that, just leave it down below. All right, let's get into it. I don't know if you need a couple seconds to think or if you just want to fly off the cuff.
Pretty much, yeah. I am Mookie, and I was able to be brought on by Miss Think Greens. No,
it's not even a name. No. Technically, he talked himself into being on the first episode because I was telling him about it. And I'd asked him, I was like, oh, you want to join me for an episode? I was like, what would you like to talk about? And when he was like, parents, mental illness. So I decided to do families and mental health because I was like, we just go straight in with mental illness. I'm like, we're all kind of mental ill. So
something's always wrong, right?
Yeah.
Or right.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah. So now, since we originally wanted to speak about parents, the questions that I came up with, most of them have to do directly with parents, but since I'm super great at going off on tangents, this will be fine. But so I guess we can pretty much start off with that, and then we'll allow things to flow. And I call my mom now. It's like, do you want to see the episode first? I'm talking about parents, and I don't want to, say anything too crazy you might not want me to say, but yeah, my mom does not care. So who knows what I might say now.
They even asked. I didn't even ask my mom. So see what happens.
So, do you feel like you favor a certain parent more?
That's gonna be an easy one. I do, most definitely. That'd be my mom. Definitely, cause the person I call my father or my dad, father just sounds angry. I don't know. Is that just me? Like father, like.
I was about to say I have his name. Like, yeah, my dad's name is Father in the phone.
Like when you call someone your father, it's just like that. Just sounds like more of a distant thing. But anyway, the person I call my dad, he was a dad that treated me like his other children, but the way he treated all of us wasn't the greatest. So it's sort of just like, I didn't get left out, but at the same time, yeah. And my biological father is, yeah, I'll just say that for now. So my mom definitely wins, not by default, but just because she definitely put in the work.
Yeah, you talk about how it sounds angry. I was like, father was like, it was an upgrade because my dad's name is Kip, and so I saved him as Big Kip in my phone because I was like, I'm not talking about my Kip, like my brother. I mean, you Big Kip, and I'll talk to you maybe once a year, But I think, I don't know, when it comes to who I favor more, the older I get, the more I'm just like, I feel like there's a good balance, but I favor my dad in ways, and I'm like, I had to start seeing the good side to the things, and I was like, oh, I'm just like my dad. But before, when I was saying something, it was never anything good when I was saying that. But with my mom, me and my mom have always been like this. She refused to call me her friend, but she's my friend. I don't care what she says. But even when it comes from looks, my dad is the reason why I got all this hair on my head, but also I feel like I look more like a friendlier, nicer person sometimes because of my mom. And yeah, and I don't know. I feel like there's a balance with who I favor, but also there's a side of me which like you probably won't get like more of my dad's side of me unless you really start to get to know me because I'm just like that's I reserve those kind of ways for people that I'm like you can probably handle who I really am.
Honestly, that's good. Like to have that balance. Like I think a lot of people would be like, oh man, as a at least in the black community, I mean, generally speaking, as a stereotype, your mom is there, or if it's not your mom, it's your grandparents. But the father usually be somewhere, and people would be like, I don't care about that dude, so they automatically favor the mom or the grandparents. So to have that balance that's a good thing. I like that.
Yeah, and you deserve everything. I know you don't be watching like the whole Love Is Blind thing, but I do think. Well, I'm not a man, so taking out it's probably just different. But homeboy Clay, he was talking about how his dad would take him on these little cheating escapades when he was like 6 or 7 years old and stuff like that. And so he just assumed he's like, okay, I never had like a good example, but I've seen all the bad examples, so maybe I'll just act like that, nigga, whatever. But yeah, that's how I'm just like, yeah, okay, so you see the bad things that you knew were wrong as a kid, but you're like, I'm gonna take that on anyway, just letting you know. Tell me about my dad and how he used to cheat because I'm going to cheat on you because I'm taking on my dad's burdens and all of whatever he had going on. So I'm just like,
The generational curse that you see that you decide to keep going.
Yes. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie because we were just talking about it. I was like, technically, I need to shut up with that because I was like, my dad gave me a beer when I was 2. And like, besides the fact that I could have been poisoned and died, I was just like, I mean, my dad did that, so you think I was not gonna be alcoholic? Like, I like the way beer tastes. Yeah, so like, maybe I'm not the right person to comment on, not taking on your parents' stuff.
No, I think there's a sense of, I don't know if this is the right word, but clarity for that. Like, if you did do it, and then you're like, okay, I recognize it, that's a whole new perspective. There you go. That's a whole new perspective rather than not knowing, figuring it out, and then stopping. There's 2 different ways to come. Well, maybe there's more, but those are 2 different ways to come at one problem.
Yeah.
Just one of them you might be judged more than the other, but it is what it is.
Yeah, alcoholism, that's normalized. Cheating, it kind of is, but yeah. I don't want to compare this. It's like I'm not a cheater, but I drink heavily and I might verbally abuse you. That's not funny.
It's just crazy to hear out loud. Yeah, which one do you want? No.
I couldn't. Yeah, relationships would be another subject because I'm just like, oh, I wouldn't cheat on somebody, but I might not be nice.
So favorite my mom.
Yeah, that was a question. I do feel like my mom's nurturing side. I definitely got that, but yeah, my dad's side, you just disappear out of nowhere. Like one day, and you just don't see him for months or hear from him, and I'm like, I got a little bit of that too.
I guess while we're looking at that, I would say a reason. I would say I besides my biological father and my father, just that's another subject. I'd say the reason I favor my mom is because yes, she is nurturing, but she's also like not. She definitely was there in all aspects. Like, I don't like it when people be like, my mom was my dad. Like, no, she wasn't. She was your mom. But she was there in all aspects essentially. Like she did the traditional thing. You're a boy, toughen up, man up. Take care of your responsibilities, handle what you need to handle. but she was also there as my mom in a nurturing sense, especially for me because I had a lot of medical issues. But yeah, like she was also there in that kind of aspect, and it was really nice to see her just always be there, no matter what. Like you said, your mom, she won't say she's your friend, but your mom is your friend. Like I won't say she's my friend because my mom would be like, no, I'm not. But it's I know I could always ask her something and I'd get a real answer, which kind of is, it's kind of weird because like now that I'm married, it's sort of just like, hey, how are you gonna teach your kid? And I'm like, I'm just gonna tell him what it is, but I realize you can't really do that all the time. So but yeah, those are reasons. I definitely favor my mom. She had the love, she had the care, she had the toughness, and she definitely what was what, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's yeah. My mom was she wasn't extreme, and I'm trying to think of a time where I was younger when I asked her a question and she was like more along the lines of your mom, because our moms are very, I realized I'm introducing you as my brother and then I'm like, biologically he is not my brother. Our mothers are sisters. This is my cousin, but I took on the choosing my family, and I claimed them as my siblings because we've just always been super close. That was just a little. I want to clear up any confusion because people were like, but your mom. And no. Yeah, our moms. Technically, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I think our oldest brothers, they were born the same year, just months apart, and then our sisters. My sister passed from SIDS when she was like 6 months, but my sister and his sister were born the same year. I think. Wait, she was born in March and then count. Yeah, they were only like a month apart. Yeah, and then the next ones down, our brothers, they were both born in February the same year. And then me and him are a year apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time like one sister got pregnant, the other one was pregnant, and they weren't even like around each other physically a lot of times when it happened. So I was just like, that was. I'm glad it worked out that way. Yeah, we were the last ones, and my mom didn't want me. Technically, she wanted to get her tubes tied after my last brother, but then he was born in a Catholic hospital and they didn't do that. So then it was like, boom, what's up, mom? I'm here again. So I guess I'm alive because Catholic people saved me.
That's one hell of a way to put it. No.
But yeah, I just wanted to clear up just in case someone doesn't know us in real life. Well, which is probably most people. But yeah.
Get to know us now. No.
Dang it. What is happening? Okay. But speaking of, I wanted to go into the next question. Are there certain habits or traits that you've had to, either overcome, things you feel like may have been passed down, that like, whether you want to call it, breaking a curse or, just whatever, however you want to phrase it. But is there anything you feel like you've had to learn to use to your advantage or work through that you either got from your mom, like something that you had to unlearn, something that, you had to change your perspective on?
Yeah, definitely. Especially being raised by her all these years. Which is, before I get into that one, which is really crazy because my mom always says genetics are real. Because there's one thing that I say that my biological father says. I don't know how I even I would say inherited this, but I say right on all the time. Like it's just something I say, like right on. It's just something I say. Now I don't know where it came from. I just started saying it one day and it just stuck with me. And one day I was on the phone with my biological dad, and I was like, oh yeah, I got a job. It was like one of my first jobs. Like, yeah, I got a job. I'm working and blah blah. He's just like, right on, right on. And like I paused for a sec, and I'm like, you just say like, is that where I got that from? I was like, but I don't even talk to this dude. Like, what? But and then I went home and I was like, Ma, I talked to him, and he said this, and she's like, oh yeah, he used to say that all the time. And I'm like, that's weird. But yeah, so I mean, that's not something I worked. I just say it. I don't know. I like to say it, but back to the question, something I had to work through. I would say I inherited my mom's stubbornness, sort of. I would say our reasons for being as stubborn as we are completely different. But I would always see my mom as she struggled through stuff. When I started getting older, I started noticing like the struggles we would have in the home and stuff like that. But I never saw her. I think I've only seen her like break maybe once or twice in all the years, but I've never really seen her break, and I never seen her cry. And I'd always just hear her say, "Well, it needs to be done, so I got to get it done." And I thought that's what being strong was, not showing your emotion, just go and get whatever you needed done, and then figure everything out as it comes along. And so as I saw that, I decided that's what I want to be. I want to be strong like that. And so as I grew up and started moving on with my life, that's what I tried to do. And now I'm not good at emotions that well. I don't like opening up very much because it makes me feel vulnerable, and feeling vulnerable is like one of the top 3 things I hate to feel. Even with people I'm super close to, I don't like to feel vulnerable, and not getting that out that can cause other issues in the long run. Because if you don't express your emotions,
mental illness.
Mental illness right there. That's one of the things. It can cause other mental illnesses when you don't get out how you're feeling and things like that, or if you don't get it out in some sort of way. And I pretty much just would pent up. I had pent up feelings and things like that I just wouldn't let go. But I feel like I got that. I don't know everything about my mom, but all I know is I never saw her, be super vulnerable many times, and I thought that was the way to do it. But yeah, that I would say that's something I need to work on. That I got from my mom.
And I don't know. I'm trying to think. When you said that, I was like, have I seen my mom cry? I was over trying to think. She told me when I was like 2 or 3, I seen her crying one time, and I went up to her and I just patted her, talking about it's gonna be okay. And I was just like, oh, that was a sweet child. But which was weird because my godson seen me crying one time and did the same thing around the same age, and I was just like, oh my god. I was like, I was trying not to cry in front of you. Now you're comforting me. I was like, you know what? Kids are mad cool. But yeah. So I don't know. With my mom, I always seen her dealing with us. Really, that was like, I was like, that was one of her struggles. Well, I don't want to say it was her struggle in life, but it caused a lot of stress in her life just because being a single mom and dealing with my dad. I mean, speaking of mental health and mental illness, like, we used to joke when we were younger, which it wasn't a joking matter at all. We were like, my mom's kids, we got all the mental issues, and then my aunt's kids, they be in the hospital all the time. And I was like, I don't know which one is worse. Come to find out, well, no, my brothers don't be in the hospital, so, but I ended up having health issues, and then I started getting to know my cousins as we got older, and getting a little more vulnerable with each other, and I was like, oh, okay, so it was health and mental issues on both sides. I was just like, oh, that's not fun. But, like, with my dad, at least the older people, like my dad's siblings and then his parents, I've never heard any, like, pleasant stories, like, their upbringing and all of that. It was terrible. My mom just told me something new that I didn't know last week about my dad, which, with all transparency, this is not funny at all. Like, nothing about what I'm about to say is funny, so just ignore me smiling. It's like that's just my reaction to things. But I will say, when it comes to, like, things being passed down, my mom told me that when my dad's mom was pregnant with him, his dad kicked her in the stomach. And so I was just like, okay, so that might explain some of the medical issues my dad ended up having, which he did end up passing down to me, because when I was born, like, my ribs were crooked, and I was so paranoid as a child, because, like, he had to have surgery for it. And so I was just like, one day I'm gonna have surgery. That's why I was like, I'm not trying to go to the doctor, because they're gonna tell me, like, yeah, your insides are messed up. And I'm just like, no, because I'd rather be messed up than go through surgery, which is a reoccurring thing in my life. But even with that, like, when she was talking about, what his dad did, I'm still not super close with my dad, but when I would run into him, like, around Bremerton, one day I went into the Dollar Tree store, and I was with one of my homies, and I stopped because I seen him. He didn't see me yet, but I almost went the other way, because I was like, we don't need nothing that way anyway. And she's like, isn't that your dad? And I was like, yeah. And I just kept walking the other way, because this nigga was in the middle of the store just doing punches and kicks and stuff like that. So I was like, well, my mom told me that last week. I was like, she just be randomly kicking. Like, and then I was like, you know what? That's not funny. But I was just like, it made me wonder. I was like, but I don't know if I'll ever ask my dad about that, because I don't want to call him on a random Tuesday and be like, yeah, tell me about your childhood. Because my mom said, like, man, I haven't gotten to that point with my dad. But when it comes to, like, having to unlearn things, like, with the alcohol, I was like, my dad was alcoholic, and he just had, like, a whole lot of, well, it wasn't just alcohol. He said he did everything except for, like, meth and heroin. And I was like, I good, I guess. Like, I'm glad you didn't smoke meth, Dad. Cut off your eyebrow. I was just thinking, I was like, between the ages of, like, I want to say 16 to 18 wasn't that much. I didn't drink a whole lot, and I was irresponsibly responsible, and I mostly just drank in the house. A tall can or two with my brothers are chilling. A special occasion, my mom would, hey, what you want? It's Christmas, So, like, I don't know, it was kind of, in my family, alcohol was kind of normalized, because it was like more of like, oh, we're celebrating, we're drinking. But then there was a couple of us that was like, after the party's over, we gonna keep drinking, and it's gonna turn to something else. But
question for that, just a quick intermittent question for that. So do you think how alcohol was normalized in the house, do you think that shaped or helped shape you drinking more, or do you think it still would have happened the way it happened?
I think I still would have ended up at the same point as I did, but I probably would have just gotten into more foolishness if, like, I didn't start drinking at home. Like, if I was just out drinking, I felt like it probably would have been worse.
So you still think you would have went out and drank still, or?
If I still end up having, like, the same group of friends that I had, then I don't know, actually. Because my two closest friends, like, one of them, she's like, I'm not drinking until I'm 21. She was like a blessing in my life, because I was like, I don't care how crazy I get. I have a friend that is like, she cool. And she don't judge me. But then my other friends, they kind of made me not want to drink around them because like they'd be like throwing up and stuff and I cried. So honestly, I probably wouldn't have drank as much if I didn't start drinking at home because even when I was drinking, my friends would have me sober up real quick because I'm like, you guys can't handle your alcohol, and I was like, I don't like this. Like, nigga, I gotta be on alert. Like, I can't enjoy drinking if I'm like out with you guys, which still happens sometimes. But yeah, I feel like if I probably wouldn't have drank as much, but it was just like a comfortable thing, and I like just how I feel when I drink. Like, I like how my mind worked. I liked it. Like, I was able to be open and vulnerable with my family because I would be drinking and I would be telling my brother stuff that I was like, this would just hold in and like, yeah. So I don't know. Did I answer your question correctly?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I don't think I would have drank as much if I wasn't allowed to drink at my house, but I feel like that also made me more responsible when I did go out and drink because I already knew how to handle my alcohol. Okay. You know, yeah. So, except for this one time. Yeah, and you know, that's the one thing I always like. The one thing my mom did teach me when it comes to that is she's like, I don't care what situation you get in. She's like, yeah, you call me. And I was just like, I'm glad to be that I have the relationship that I have with my mom because I think I was like 18 one time. I was up in the Park Place Apartments, the ones that you used to live in next to, yeah, and people were having a house party, and I was with, you know, my group of friends, and we was drinking like tilts and like all of those like energy kind of drinks. I think Fort Logos were out around that time, which they're so disgusting. But yeah, that was a version of them before they started killing people, and then they had to like change the ingredients. Sorry, it's not funny. But yeah, I was at a party and I was just like, I drank too much. And me and I know it was like two of my friends, we was in the bathroom. I was like, I need to throw up and all this stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not okay. I need to call my mom. I don't care what time it is. I don't care how mad she's about to be. Like, I don't need to be here and be like this messed up. And then I heard one of my friends was like, no, don't call her. We're going to get in trouble. And I'm just like, you guys will be fine. But yeah, so I called my mom to come pick us up and take us home because we all live pretty much on like one the same street. So I was just like, I should call and drop two of you guys home, then the other one, and then I'll go home and I'll deal with the consequences. It's not like she's gonna call you guys' moms and be like, yeah, they were drinking and I had to bring them home. Like, my mom, she'll look out for you, but she's not on no like, yeah. My mom has always just been cool about that type of stuff. And I did try to throw up out the window while I was in the car, and I threw up all over the side of the car. It was so disgusting. And I think my mom, I asked her if she remembers that, and she said that she doesn't. So I'm like, see, it works out even more. But, yeah, that's the one thing. My mom, like, she was always like, no, you call me, like, type stuff. So I was like, hey, I was comfortable enough to be like, oh, I messed up. I need to call Bob. Yeah, and I'm like that in my 30s. Well, and I don't be getting drunk and call my mom, but I mean, like, if I'm like stressed about something or, you know, I feel like I need some outside counsel, I just need to get something off my chest. Like, my mom always provided like that space for us. So, like, that's one thing that I'm just like, I don't know, that's how I am towards other people. So that's one thing I can say that like she's passed towards me. And like she was just never was like judgmental or anything like that, and she was always like, even if she don't understand, because she says that to me now when I start going off, and I'm just like, Mom, from a spiritual perspective, and then she like, I don't understand, but I'll listen, and I still love you, and I'm like, but that is one thing that she definitely like passed down to me, and she was a great example of that. Like, because I didn't really see her cry or do anything like that. And there was plenty of situations where I'm like, I don't know how you didn't just like break down because
yeah, strong black woman. Yeah. I would say our parents had that in common. My mom definitely is as strong-headed as she is also very caring. She always was taking in my brother's friends, my sister's friends, my other brothers. She was taking them in, and she always was trying to help in some sort of way, and it's definitely a place of caring. It wasn't, there was no hidden intentions. It was just, I need to make sure you guys are okay. Okay, you guys are okay. All right, do better and go somewhere. She definitely created that environment, and I feel that I carry that on as well. I definitely have a caring for people, but I feel like I picked up her discernment. Though I would say I'm a little bit more lenient, maybe, but definitely discernment for people and things and situations. It's definitely a heightened sense of mine that I really enjoy having, because sometimes people don't always have the best intentions, even though they act like they do, and it's important to know which is which. And my mom definitely has that sense, even if she's not right 100% of the time, but it's still her counsel is very, very much appreciated.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, like, I my mom, like, she will, when she does talk about my dad a lot of times, that's kind of what helped me see, like, more of what I've gotten from him, because she'll just be like, yeah, your dad was really smart and talented, and he was a very caring person. Like, he'll give you the shirt off his back. And I think Kip got a lot of that, because like he's the same way, because we used to buy Kip stuff or like clothes or whatever, and he come back and he's like, oh, I don't have it anymore because I ran into someone in the street and they didn't have a coat, so I just gave them mine. And I was like, oh, so my dad literally passed that right on down. And I think that's another thing. Like, my mom, she, like, if we need something, like, she don't care. She's gonna figure out a way. Like, even when we were even getting older, and if Kip didn't have something, she'd be like, all right, Ted, we need to go to the store, get Kip some stuff, because he came back with no shoes on one day. And I was like, yo, what? Like, yeah. So I definitely, and like this, my dad, I definitely got a lot of like my natural street smarts from him, and just, I feel like I get a lot of my discernment from my dad, but like that's coming from more of like how can I say that? I feel like he helped me be more in tune with my intuition, even without him being around me. And
genetics.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times, like, I would just be doing like random stuff, living my life. Like with the ride on thing with you, all I know is that whenever like it was me or you or Andre or one of my other brothers, when we'd be in deep conversation, just chilling, we always some reason congregate in the kitchen. And a lot of times, if I didn't sit on the counter, I'd sit on the ground, and be like sitting with my legs crossed. And I know one time I hadn't seen my dad for a while, and it was me and Darrell. We were at somebody's house, and they're like, oh, I gotta go pick up my brother from the ferry terminal. He's gone maybe like 15, 20 minutes, and then he comes back to the house. Everybody else walks in first, but then he walks on the corner, big smile on his face. He's like, I got a surprise for you guys. And me and Darrell kind of just looked at each other like, what? My dad just walks in. I was just like, yo, what the hell? Like, why did you just pick this nigga up? He's like, yeah, we see him down by the ferry terminal, so I was like, I'm kicking with your kids right now. So, yeah. So, of course, we're all in there talking, and my dad plays a guitar. Like, anybody that's, like, been around him or knows him, he always got on a guitar strap, whether he has a guitar attached to him or not, and this time he did. And he sat crisscross on the floor, on the kitchen floor, and like there was kids running around, so he was like playing the guitar for him and stuff. But as soon as he did that, Darrell and my homie both looked at me just like this. They're like, that's where you get it from. And I was just like, oh Lord, I don't remember seeing my dad do this. Like, and I seen him quite often up until I was like like 3 or 4, so I don't think I remember like him doing that. So I was like, dang, I'm just like my father, like in just the most weird ways. But I laugh, so now every time I sit like that, Darrell just busts out laughing at me. And I was like, I get it honest. But another thing is, I know I'll be kind of like, man, should I say all the things about my dad? But when we were little, because I was talking about intuition and kind of like, some of the things that pass down, and a lot of people be like, that's a mental thing that you might need to, check. But I just remember being little, and it was me and my brother sitting there, and my dad was sitting on these steps, and out of nowhere he got up and he started like throwing punches and stuff like that, bloody knuckles and stuff, and we were all like, we didn't get up and get closer, and we were just kind of like, what was that? Apparently he was fighting demons, like literally. And so I was like, that's crazy, like the older I got and I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, demons real and all that type of stuff. Because I remember my dad, like he was literally fighting, and people were talking about fighting my demons. Like, no, I seen someone really fight some demons before, like literally. And then of course, like, I was debating if I should even like talk about this time, but we're later talking about families and mental health. So it was around the time where I think Kip had to be like 17, 18 maybe. And all I know is that this was around the time where there was like a lot of anger and rage starting to like develop in me, because people were like, oh, your brother's crazy, like all this type of stuff. And I was like, I'll show you crazy. And I just know one time, I think it was just me and him at the house. This is when we lived in the mobile. And we were sitting on his bed just talking, having a normal conversation. And he was like, Teddy, can you leave the room, please, for a minute? And I was like, I didn't ask no questions. I was like, I'd like to be alone sometimes. Like, so I just left the room and I shut the door. And before I even took my hand off the handle, I just hear him swinging and punching and doing stuff. And I started having flashbacks. I was like, yo, what the... And he was like punching the walls and stuff like that. I could hear exactly what was going on, but I was like, I just walked away because I was like, let him have his, get it out. Like, and that's not the thing that made me be like, oh man, maybe he is crazy, but it made me be like, all right, there's something going on, but I just don't know what it is. And so now, looking back, I'm just like, okay, so they both did that. So like, you know what? He shouldn't have been named after my dad. That was the first mistake. But they were going to name him Gerald. And I love Uncle Gerald, but I would never take Kip serious if that was his name. You're like, I'm going to have to call you something else.
Oh, you people named Gerald. No.
I like the name, but imagine Kip is Gerald. Like, yeah. Like, what up, G? Like, oh, you got to be something. I would be like grandmother and call him by his middle name. But yeah, just I don't know. I guess when it comes to stuff like that, it did help me kind of change my perspective, because my mom was a Christian. My dad, when we were growing up, he was a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know what exactly he is now, because back sometimes when I would talk to him, he's like, oh, you all guys are all going to hell, and talking about, I was like, I'm going to church. Like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. But now he talks about Jesus all the time. So I'm like, I don't know what he believes. We should go on to the next question, because now I'm just fucking talking.
Sometimes be like that. One thing leads into another, like all the time. Like it's somewhat connected, and even if loosely. Like, oh, you get this one thing from your parent. Oh, okay, well, now it leads into, why do you get that from your parent? Hey, it might be something mental, it might not. I don't know. No, it's all loosely connected to someone like that. You can go down a rabbit hole though.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm only scratching the surface, even just saying those things. Yeah. But so speaking of. So, you're the only real parent, between the two of us. I got kids, but, I didn't birth any. But
I didn't birth any either.
Well,
No. I hope. No.
She was in a sack, you know, like technically, you know. But is there anything?
My little swimmers.
Yeah, and she was the fastest. She won. She's a winner.
Just like all you watching. No.
You guys are all winners. You won. I guess if you have a twin, one of you guys is a loser. What? One of you guys. No, that's not how I just said.
No, you lost. No. 2 seconds too late. No.
No, I don't even think that's how that works. Don't they split once they're in the? I have no idea because there's no way there's 2 sperms, right?
I think it is.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah, because they don't have to be. There's like maternal twins, right? Where they don't look exactly the same, but they're still twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just 2 different ones that it's just like, hey, we gonna grow together.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that'd be weird if they split and there's one's a boy and one's a girl.
That's some Googling to do after this. I don't think I want to randomly just hit her up after not talking for a buzz. Like, yeah, so did it happen in the sack or in the womb? But so I have no friends now. But is there? See, I went off again. But you know, because we were just talking about things that our parents passed down to us. But is there anything that, in particular, that you want to pass on to yours?
Yeah, definitely. Man, there's a couple things. I definitely want to pass down the strong will that my mom has, well, that my mom and her family has, because regardless of whatever the family is doing, they are very strong-willed people, for the better or worse. And I believe that got passed down to me, and I want to pass that down to my child. Be strong-willed, be independent, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Individual. Yeah, be your own individual. I want to pass that down to her as well. I never really thought of myself as like, man, I'm just like an individual. You know, I'm doing my own thing. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Like, I did that, but I never really thought too much about it until one of my best friends was just like, man, I remember in middle school, you're always just like your own person. Like, you didn't really care what everybody else was doing. You're sort of just like, yeah, you know, you're just so sure of yourself. And I was just like, I don't know, I never really thought about it. But I mean, yeah, like, I want that for my daughter. You know, I don't want her to just try and go with the crowd, because that's the worst. But yeah, being strong-willed, being an individual, and being confident. I would say if anything, those 3 things I definitely want to pass down and be very strong in her, because if those are, she won't have to worry about peer pressure. She won't have to worry about being cool. She won't have to worry about, you know, what these other people are doing and try and get validation from these other kids or whatever. Like, I want her to be able to validate herself, and I want her to understand that, and that's super important to me, because I believe that'll keep them out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Especially being a girl.
Yeah.
I mean, guys too, but I mean, I don't know. Girls are mean. Like, guys are mean. Like, guys are dumb, but guys are mean. But like, women are mean. Like, they hit you in your soul. Like, a guy could just kind of be like, "Ah, man, you're an idiot. I might beat you up." Like, a girl like just hit you in your soul, man. It's like, God.
You do both. No. Yeah, But
that's just my perspective as a guy.
No, honestly, the women, we're some of the worst creatures on this earth if we want to be. But no, I felt like, not to exclude your wife, because I love her and she's a great mother, but even all the things that you do want to instill in her, if nobody else is around and it was just like you, I feel like she would still easily, that would easily be passed down. And then your mama, being around her, because your mom is a very confident person, and I can tell when she's been hanging out with your mom, looking in the mirror and just smiling at herself. I'm just like, I got that from Leslie too. Yeah, there's so many times where my mom's just like, just like your aunt. I'm just like, well, thank you. But yeah, because I don't know. I am around a lot of kids, and there's been, which is crazy because a lot of them are grown now. But yeah, just I don't know. I don't. It's always weird when people tell me that like they looked up to me at some point because, like you said, like we were just like being ourselves, like not really paying attention. And I'm just like, someone's looking up to me. I'm like, they probably shouldn't do that. But yeah, is that like my godson? One of the things that also helped me like really be like, maybe I shouldn't be drinking is just his whole existence. His grandmother, I love her so much. Because technically I count her as family because she has one of her daughters is technically our cousin. But yeah, I wanted to be a good example for him just because, looking at the lineage and stuff, and I'm just like, you know what, I don't need to be drinking around him or even showing him any of that. Even if everybody else is doing it, like, I gotta just pay attention and be a good example for him. And, like, he's still really young. He'll be 7 in a couple weeks.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I gotta ask. So earlier we were talking about, how you said, oh, I did it in the home, and therefore, that helped me be responsible out on the outside. Is there like a responsible way to do this type of activity in the home? Because, before, you're like, oh, we was after the party, we was just gonna keep going, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're about to turn up or whatever. But, and I mean, just being totally objective, like if I heard that from someone I didn't know, I'd be like, dang, is that really responsible? You know what I'm saying? But, but I mean, but from, just from hearing what you say, doing that in the home, in the safety of your home, it was, that helped me be on the lookout out there, essentially. But, now you're saying, like, I get, children are very impressionable. I agree, you probably shouldn't be, getting drunk around the kid because that's what they're going to see and that's what they're going to absorb. But at the same time, it's like, if they see it and let's say they just kind of, as they grow up, they kind of just take on that, well, I'm in my home, so I can just do this. So the question is there a responsible way to do that in the home, or is it just kind of person by person? Like, if he's witnessing this and he grows up and continues to witness it, is it better that it's just in the home, or is it probably shouldn't just be happening?
So when I say come to me if you want to do that, I'm not saying like, God, Mom, I'm gonna drink. I'm not like, oh yeah, take a sip. Like, it's not. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna start questioning him. Like, ever since he's been little, like I talk to him like having like a real conversation. Cause like I've been around his brother and sister when they were little. I'm like, I know you understand what I'm saying. All of your mom's children are extremely smart and intuitive. So it's like I feel like I can just talk to you and have a real conversation, even if you're 4. Like, she's birthed some, like, very special children, and I love them. But it's just, and I also want to be able to come to it from, like, a spiritual perspective, because that's one of the things that helped me and change my mindset when it comes to alcohol and its effects on you, like, just physically, mentally, spiritually, all that type of stuff. Because, like, cool, it helped me be able to open up and, like, speak to my immediate family about what was going on, but I was just like, he's still really young, and kids are very open and honest, so they'll tell you things. So it's like, you don't need alcohol for the reasons why I made excuses for how much I drank. I would want to, have a conversation with him first and see where his mind is at and all of that, because your brain isn't done developing until you're like 25, and alcohol is poison. So I'm just like, do you really want to poison your body? Like, you like sports, right? Like, you need to get a hobby. You don't need to be drinking and stuff. Like, I don't encourage him to do something else, or like, you know, you don't need to have substances to enjoy yourself or to be around other people. I mean, yeah, it helped me to be more social, but also I don't know. Now I'm sensitive to like drinking around people, because in my mind I'm like, drinking opens you up to certain things. When it comes to little kids and them asking like, or wanting to do that, I'm just like, I want to get to like know like how you got to this point before I even say what I'm thinking. Because one thing that my mom said, she read it from something. It was like a quote that like, children aren't meant to be molded; they're meant to be unfolded. And so, like, yeah, you want to teach them things and how to, conduct themselves and how to treat other people and like about their emotions. But like, you don't know them. You're getting to know them. This is a whole other person. I don't care if they're two. Like, they're their own person, and they're learning and interpreting things for their own self. So it's just like, yeah, I don't got the answers. Like, you have the answers within you, and you can figure it out within yourself. I'm just kind of here as like support, and whatever you need. But I just, yeah, it depends. It's like about the individual. There's not anything I feel like I could say to the masses of children outside of telling them why they shouldn't do things and using myself as an example. So do you feel like your relationships with your parents, both your father and your mother, like, do you feel like that has affected the way you conduct yourself, like in marriage and or relationships in general, like your view on them and like how you operate?
I'm going to say in marriage, not really. Shoot, since we're being honest here. I mean, my mom, I've seen her be married that I remember clearly once. I know she's been married more than once, but it's sort of like with my mom, she still treated her husband as if he wasn't her husband. Like, she was like, yo, don't touch my kids. Like, it's just like, okay, but y'all supposed to be one now. But she was like, nah, like, don't worry like that. Don't touch my kids. And she always treated them as if they were not married. And so, I mean, and my mom was a very independent person because she always has been essentially all her life. And so whenever she was in a relationship, it was sort of just like, you're over there and I'm here. And whenever I want you to be around, I guess you can be, but other than that, like, back off. And so, like, relationship wise, I don't think I really got much from my mom. It was like, just, if anything, I probably would have let them do their thing and I'm gonna do mine. And to me, that's not the best way to run a marriage, but it's yeah. So marriage wise, no, I wouldn't say I got much from my mom. I would say I did take how she kind of raised all of us. I would say I got some insight from that because me and my brothers and sister were all very different, and we all responded to things differently. And like, honestly, it was 4 kids, and I mean, if I'm gonna count technically my cousins that stayed with us too, sometimes 5, 6 kids, we are all very, very different, and we all had to be treated very, very differently. And so her having a range of how to respond to all of us in those different ways, I would say, is something that I'm going to take away, because I think that's a good thing. Like, don't treat everybody the same, because we're not. Like they were saying, it's a new person. It is a whole human being. Like, they're not you. So find a way to treat them how they should be and let them learn in their way. And so yeah, I would say that's one thing I'm gonna take away. I mean, I'm still learning. This is my first kid, and she's very young, and so I don't even exactly know the science behind this yet. But I'm gonna try and not be as blunt as my mom was with us. Like at first I thought that was the way. I'm like it worked with us. Like like hey, she told us what it was, and we she's like, if you're old enough to ask questions, you're old enough to get the answer. I don't know if that's the. I even told her that, and she's like, I don't think that's what you should do. And I was like, but you did it, But even now that I'm looking back, I'm like, yeah, that probably won't be the best way, because that's how I would plan to. But then my wife was like, no, and I was just like, why not? And then I told my mom, she's like, yeah, that's probably not you probably shouldn't do that. I'm like, okay. Because besides me being sick a lot, I think that's what helped me stay out of jail or even be close to even going. Because I remember I must have been 6. I think I was 6 or 7 years old, and my mom was watching some movie, and it was about these dudes in prison, and like it was one scene, this dude was like writing in his notebook or something, and all you hear is like screams from like other cells or whatever. And I'm curious. I'm like, why are people just screaming? Like this guy's like writing in his notebook or something, and all you hear is screams. I was like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, dudes are being raped. I'm like, what's rape? And she was just like, she was like, is when another person forcibly it's like, well, when a man rapes somebody, is when he forcibly sticks his dick in your butt. And I was like, well, I wouldn't let that happen to me, like I'm 6 or 7. I'm like, man, I don't want to let that happen to me. I was like, I'd clench, they wouldn't get in, And she was just like, nah, they like tight butts, and they'll force it in. And I was just like, and that it kind of, that scared me, because I'm like, oh snap, like, so I really don't have a choice in this, like it would happen, right? And she's like, that's what happens in jail and prison, and as a kid, I'm like, dang, like I really don't want that to happen to me. Like if that's what happens in jail, I don't want that, and I was young, but it put the fear in, like, oh, if you go to jail, you're getting raped. That was pretty much what I got from it. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to jail, and so how do I stay out of jail? Oh, well, do the right thing. Or at least try,
You're so black, so you could go for no reason.
Exactly. So, but for me, it's like, hey, it's like almost like a scared straight thing, It's like, hey, you go in there, this is what's happening. It's like, oh, I don't want that to happen. So
yeah, quick intermission because people are married and they gotta,
I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about how, like, our parents' relationship affected us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was telling you about the jail movie story. Yeah, but yeah, so that's helped keep me out of jail. Amongst prominent other things, but that will always be in my memory, and I don't think I should talk to my daughter that way. So.
But when you have a son, no.
So raising kids, try and learn their individual styles as you keep your own as well, because you're still your own person, but kids learn differently, even if they're raised in the same home.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess you could just. By the time you have a son and they start asking questions, you can show them the episode of the Boondocks. Easy, you don't gotta say nothing.
I'd rather not. No. Honestly, I shouldn't. I don't even feel like I should have watched the Boondocks when I did.
Yeah, most of the things we should, you know what, during these, I'm gonna do a part 2 with like, I think Kimber Durrell talking about the family stuff, but we should do an episode on our childhood and be like, what we shouldn't have been doing. Like not having like a strong male figure in your life, like, do you feel like that's affected you anyway when it comes to your perspective on things, whether it's being a father or a husband or just a man in general?
Yes. I feel that I feel that yeah, I feel that everybody should have a male figure in their life. Even even those that, I don't know, if two women are even raising a kid, a boy, I feel that that boy will need some type of male structure in their life as well. Um, if the parents, male and female, I feel that having a male in their life will bring a type of balance. Um, because then if not, you start getting these people that be like, my mom was my mom and dad. Like, no.
telling women Happy Father's Day. What?
Right, like that's not how that works. But I was serious about that. But on a serious note, I would say, like, and it's not even, people always, when I say something like that, people be like, what, women can teach everything a man can. Like, I mean, to some extent, if you're just talking about knowledge, sure. But at the same time, women don't experience the same thing men do, and just vice versa. Men don't experience things women do. So sure, if you want to go by textbook knowledge, fine. But at the same time, as a man, I'm glad I have my wife. She's gonna be able to tell my daughter how, relate to my daughter in a way I never can and never will. Um, and I'm not gonna sit here and give all these examples about how a man could only teach me this or something. Like, I grew up with, my mom and my brothers, but my brothers didn't really teach me much. They kind of just taught me what not to do. But but my mom, I feel like she taught me well, and that's all good and well. But at the same time, um, when I was about 16, 17, I met this one man named I actually won't give out his name, but I met this one man, and he didn't really, like, he kind of just gave perspectives essentially, and he was more like a mentor in a way. And he was married. He didn't have any kids, but he was married, and he kind of just, like I said, was more of a mentor than anything. And he was he's a really good friend of mine now. I wouldn't say he's still a mentor to me, but having a man in your life will bring a different type of perspective, a different type of love, a different type of just teaching. And I think having a male's perspective and a female's perspective, and having them come together and help grow someone is very important. I guess I could give examples and stuff as to why, but I guess I could say that for another day, because but yeah. So but not having a male, like, a real, like, the person I call my dad, right? Like I said, he was sorta in the life, but not really, because he was more focused on the church and his other batch of kids than he was us. So, and whenever I mean, I was super young, but whenever I did try to ask him a question, it was always, well, let's open up the Bible and do. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, that's all good and well, but what do you think? I never got that. That's why I always loved asking my mom stuff because I mean, she was more on the physical, like spiritual and physical. She was more on like the physical side of things, but she would, she was just like, well, every now and then she would get kind of spiritual, but she was more on like, well, if you see someone on the street, don't trust them. Walk, like, move. Like, but yeah, I would say, I'm not gonna say it affected me in a way where I'm like hurting. It's just, I know after having like a little bit of a mentorship, I just know that it could have helped me as well.
Yeah.
Because sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Because it's sort of like being a father. I don't know how to really be a father. I'm kind of just learning on the fly. Not to say that your parents had it right if they were there, but I know that if there was a man in my life, I could at least learn something or take away something that I thought was right and then apply it, and I'd have more confidence in being a father. But now I'm kind of just like, well, I just kind of have to learn. I mean, I don't. I kind of just have to grab information from some people I think are good people, and then kind of take it from there and mold it into what I think is right instead of kind of it being transferred, I guess. So, there's that.
I don't know what did we call it when like we did that Zoom before the baby was born. I don't remember what we called it. Like, I don't know if Darrell or somebody else set it up.
Oh yeah. The father appreciation thing.
Okay, yeah. It was like a Zoom baby shower, but just for you. Oh yeah, because we made your wife get off the couch and say something. She was all like comfortable and was pregnant. We're like, nah, get up. But yeah, which is, I don't know. You're probably one of the. Well, I mean, we knew Andre was gonna be a great father, but we're all just like, Xavier got her figured out. He's the one out of us that's all sane and it together, and stuff. Like, you're gonna be a good father no matter what you do. Like, just like, But we all had that confidence in you. Like, Xavier didn't need a father. He's alright. He's well adjusted. Like, much more knows us, and that's all a baby could really ask for. Is a father's not crazy. And then it's present. So I guess in a sense, me and my brothers all made the choice to like distance ourselves from our dad, but
under circumstances, I honestly think that might have been the better solution.
Yeah, because we were all real little. I don't think Darrell couldn't have been more than like 10, maybe, or 11. Because all I know is that we came to, I think, we were in Port Orchard or Bremerton or something. I don't know where we were before that because honestly, I was just too little because we were just everywhere. But all I know is that my mom was the type of person, like, if she knew we were going to be safe and all of that, because I'm not going to get into the story, but after he stole us while she was at work and left the state, she was a little more cautious of, just letting us be around just our dad and stuff like that. So,
understandably so.
I'm sorry. Just sometimes when I don't explain the whole story, I was like, that's going to sound wild. Well, it's going to sound wild when I tell the whole story too, but all I know is that we pulled up somewhere because there used to be payphones. I don't know if someone younger is listening, but the payphones were a thing. There's a random telephone, outside somewhere you put a quarter in and you can call people. So she got a number to contact my dad so we could talk to him. And all I remember is Darrell was on the phone, and I remember my dad saying something about killing my mom or doing something. And we're all just like, hang up. Like, I'm not trying to talk to him. This thing is tripping. I didn't talk like that as, a 4-year-old, but that was like the consensus. And we were all just like, yeah, we don't want to talk to him because, yeah. And that was me just being real little, because there's been so many times that, like, he used to show up to me and Kip's school. Like when I went to Orchard Heights and we used to catch the bus. And one day we were walking to the bus, me and Kip, and we look and we just see this tall figure. My dad's like 6', 6'1", so he was above all the kids. So we're just like, and he had an afro, this huge afro, and we stop and we're like, oh, that's Dad standing in front of the bus. So we just turned back around and went in the office and we're like, yeah, we gotta call our mom because we can't go get on the bus because we might never see our mom again. And so we just went and sat. Well, my mom, for her job, she's not like in an office or anything, so it's not like she can just like stop what she's doing. But I don't remember if that day, I don't know if we had to wait for her to get off of work or if grandmother came and got her. That was the first time we showed up at the school, because this was like, I think I was in like 1st or 2nd grade. And then it didn't happen again for a while. But in the 4th grade, he showed up again. Mind you, I'm at recess, I'm having a good time. I come inside and we're all sitting down to do our little ADD math sheets. I love doing those and doing math and stuff like that. And I was hella excited to get back in the classroom. And then my teacher, God bless his heart, shout out to Mr. Watkins. He was like one of my favorite, well, he was my favorite elementary school teacher. Like he was so dope. But he got the whole class settled and working on their stuff, and he came over to my table and he's like, I need to talk to you real quick. And then the kids could hear, they're like, ooh, they're like, this is just so bad. And then but I just remember the concern on his face, and I was like, oh my God, what happened this time? Because as a kid, 4th grade, 10, I'm fed up at this point of the foolishness. So I'm just like, what is it now? And he was just like, her dad came to the school and he did have to get arrested. We had to call the police, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, man. But thankfully, because the Kip's mindset, I was in 4th grade, so he was in 6th grade. And I was like, I know that if Kip would have found out, he would have probably tried to fight my dad at that point. So thankfully, he was suspended that day. And that's what he got to kick it with my mom's friend. He got a new like Gundam model or something. And I was like, you're supposed to be suspended. And he getting new cool toys and stuff. But anyway, all I know is that day I was very thankful that I saved half my sandwich and my Oreos, because I was just like, I had to pack up all my stuff, and because they called my mom to come and get me. And so I got to kick it with her the rest of the day while she was working. So that was fun. But yeah, apparently my dad came over there tripping, talking about, give me my kids, you better let me see them. So of course they called the police. And yeah, so that was, I don't know, dealing with my dad in that capacity and him showing up to grandmother's house. Like, I'd be laying on the floor coloring, and then I just see his little afro come up to that front window. Yep. And my grandmother, she'd just be so like, oh, Tasha, go in the back, stuff like that. Because, I mean, she wasn't old back then, but she was not trying to deal with my dad. So
I too old for that.
No. Yeah. And so she sent me to the back in her room and stuff like that, and told me to not like be in the windows. And she's like, oh, I don't know, like they're not here, like whatever. And then I came back into the room. She was like, that was your dad. And I was like, but at that time, like I didn't really talk to people that much, so I didn't really like say anything. And I was like, okay, like I'm used to my dad popping up and trying to take me. Like it's just another day. Like yeah. And I don't know, like that was, so growing up, my experience with my dad, like I knew back then, like he was a big ass kid. And that's one thing when I was little I enjoyed about him, because he used to always play with us and stuff. And only my mom was working, so he just got to be a big ass kid. And he would cook for us. Like my dad was like a dope person. If he didn't have such a messed up childhood and drank and did a bunch of drugs, like my dad just as a person, like he's hella dope. Like we talk now, and he brought up him popping up at the school just like last week when I was talking to him.
I really want you to know how crazy that just sounded. Like my dad's a cool person. He didn't do the drugs and the drink. And it's just like, whoa, what? Okay, what? No, like I mean, I imagine a lot of people would be cool.
Yeah, I like to see the good in people. That's more of what I was trying to say.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, if someone told me that, I'd be like, well, yeah, I imagine so. I imagine they would be cool.
Yeah, I have good things to say, but it's all gonna sound crazy. I just choose to see the good in people, and now that when I learned more about his childhood, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Your parents were the ones that was tripping. Just a little background, because I know probably like my dad is just little. I know he loved us. That's why he wanted to see us and be around us, but he wasn't in a mental state or financial state to ever take care of us. I'll tell like a short story because you're going to be like, oh, mental health, all those issues passed down. So besides the way that his father was treating his mother, they were probably mentally just insane. It's not the right word, but they were still on the same mental level and it was not very healthy. My dad's father was, you know, from what I've heard, I never heard anything good. He was extremely abusive to his wife and his children. And almost deservedly so. I guess he was sleeping one day in the house and she poured gasoline on him while he was in the bed and lit it on fire and just took the kids and left. And then came back later like nothing happened. He survived. He lived. Yeah, when I heard that story, I was like, well, if he died, you would have deserved it. Like, man, you were apparently terrible. So when it comes to the way that my father, like, he chose to cope and things like that, he didn't have like any type of like peace or safe space at any point in his life. So it's like, all right, you alcohol to cope. I did that too, you know. The drugs, you know, he went through a lot. So I mean, maybe he was just trying to suppress things and deal with it how he wanted to. But so I'm saying, if he didn't do that, and people knew about mental health back then, like things could have been different. I'm pretty sure he like takes, you know, is that a HIPAA law? Did not say that he takes medication now and stuff, but
as long as you don't say the medication.
But yeah, because even both of our moms were just like, if we would have known when you guys were younger, or even just being teenagers, more about mental health and stuff, like things could have gone a little bit better, you know, but nobody knew because the things was like, oh, you're depressed, nigga, go wash the dishes, nigga. So it was just like, you know, niggas didn't know. Because when I started, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, oh, you sad? All right. Oh, you acting kind of funny? Go play outside. I don't care.
Yeah, I was always go play outside. That's why, like, the older I got and the more I learned about, like, my family history, that made me be like, you know what? Niggas is cool. We just got problems that we need to work out, but some of us are still just not in the space to even be comfortable to work those things out. Like, yeah, people are on the therapy and counseling now. I tried that. And all they did was piss me off. So like I was like, I'm not going back. But then I was talking to like middle-aged white people, and I was like, there's nothing that you can offer me that's helpful.
I would say there was one. I went to about probably 3-4 different therapists. Only one of them was cool, and he was super cool. He was this white dude, and I don't know. I would say going to him helped. He was like I said, I went to like 3 or 4, and he was the only one I would actually talk to because the other ones were weird. Like this one dude, man, I didn't even like going in his office. Like I went in his office, you know, he had like that little chair thing, and he had his desk. And he handed me like a glitter stick, and he's like, imagine this is a magic wand. What would you change? I was like, I mean, at this point in time, I'm like 15, 16. So I'm like, what the hell are you getting? Like, I was like, no. I was like, nah, I was like, I'm not coming back. I was like, you're a creep. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that was weird. I was like, I don't feel comfortable in this office. Like, you don't hand a 16-year-old male or female a glitter stick and like imagine it's a magic wand. Like I don't know who you're talking to. Like you're a weirdo. Like, but yeah, no. You know, it's always there's hit or misses. Sometimes, some therapists just be some weirdos. You know what I'm saying? Like hey, don't talk to them. But sometimes you may find the right person. It just depends if you're in the right mind space to give it a try again. But nah, man, that one dude, man, I was like, I ain't coming back.
He is not violent. I'm just being silly right now. This man right here, he's one of the kind of people. But if I show up at your house with a glitter sticker, you gonna punch me and just close the door? You know everything's just funny. Yeah, because I think, I went to see her twice. This lady. All I remember, she was short and stubby, and she had like a blonde bob. And all I know is I had to be around like, I think I was like 15, 16, something like that. Yeah, around that same age. And the only thing, I feel like I kind of like blacked out after she said this because my brother had gone to go see the same person. And all I got from what she was saying, she was just like, you're not as crazy as your brother. And I was like, that felt really inappropriate for you to say. And I don't want to physically harm you, but like, I want something good to not happen to you. like don't talk about my brother. like that don't automatically make me just want to snap. Especially that was a very sensitive time when it came to my brother being in the news and on the paper and stuff. I was like, this nigga ain't crazy. Like, I'll flip everything over in here. But so that like automatically I was like, okay, I already knew you couldn't help me, but now you done pissed me off. so then she was the psychologist, but then I went down the hallway and hit a corner to the psychiatrist guy, and he looked like he was probably in his like 50s or 60s, another old white person. And I was like, another one, nigga. And he's the one that prescribed me Prozac. And ever since around that time, I noticed the way doctors look at me when I started questioning them. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to write you a prescription for Prozac. And I was like, okay, so what does that do? Like, what are the side effects? I see what you guys are doing to my brother, and I don't like that. And and he was like, no, like, it's fine, And then, I obviously took it home. Thankfully, we had the internet and computers at that time. So I was like, okay, I can do my own research. But I guess they used to use it as like a weight loss pill. And I was like, I'm barely 100 pounds. Like, I don't need to be taking nothing to make me lose weight. But honestly, it did nothing for me. I cried a little bit less, but it was more like a suppressed. Like, I still wanted to cry. It just didn't happen. I was like, I don't think I like this. And I didn't like how people like, tried this new cocktail. And they were talking about multiple medications calling it a cocktail. And I was just like, see, something deep in my spirit was like, no, you do not need to be involved in this kind of life to take a medication. Like, this is not for me. But, I took it from like 16 to probably like, I know it was like the March after I turned 17, because when Grandpa passed, I knew that was around the time when I was like, I don't think this is how I'm supposed to be dealing with whatever I have going on. Because I was in the car with your mom, because you guys came up for the memorial service, and we were driving from Port Orchard to Bremerton, and I think about it sometimes now, even if I'm going down that street, because I just remember I was sitting in the front seat when your mom was driving, just looking out the window, and I was just like, I'm not going to get my refill. Like, I'm not taking this no more. And I still have, like, I had like maybe like a week's worth left in my bottle. It's still, like, it's at my mom's house packed up somewhere, because I was going through all my stuff. I was like, oh, memories, and I just put it back in the box. And I kept it. Like, I don't know why my brain works that way. I should have been on Hoarders, but thankfully I try not to live that life now.
That's good.
But yeah, but I just remember being like, I just don't think, that type of self-medicating is, that type of medicating is not right. I chose to self-medicate, which turned into high-functioning alcoholism. But even though, we were talking about this, that'll have to be a whole nother topic, because that was like years of me just tripping, but not, I do think, my parents' relationship, like, I just seen how well, my mom always wanted to have a family and be married and all that type of stuff. Like, she got married
My mom always said that's your mom. That's what your mom wanted.
Yeah, my mom was being young and in love and just wanting a family and stuff, and my dad doing a good job of not exposing his real self, and he didn't really talk about his family a lot, like for good reason. But you know, I feel like I got a lot of great qualities from my mom when it comes to like how I will treat somebody that I'm with, and looking out for them and like being a safe space for them and stuff, which men be hella comfortable with me and just be telling me stuff. Like Kip laughed last week because we was on the phone talking about this. He's like, a nigga cried in your lap? And I was like Kip. Because he was just like, man, I don't never cry in front of no woman. That's some beat stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm trying so hard not to cuss. But yeah, and he laughed and he's like, I can't imagine you being in a relationship. I don't know. I guess a lot of the times, like I do think about my brothers and my dad and what they've gone through and stuff like that. So I'm more gentle with black men because it's just things aren't great for you sometimes. So I feel like I'm more like, as it wasn't even necessarily me doing this on purpose, but I didn't really notice that until I started to actually date more, and I was like, why are these men so comfortable with me? Like, this is weird. But I think having brothers helped because that's how we were. Like, we're super nice and courteous to each other and stuff, and like I've had men be like, I've never had like a woman like do this or say this, or I never was able to be comfortable enough, and I was like, that's weird. Like, what are women out here doing? Like, I never understood that. I was like, niggas out here getting mistreated, I guess. And then they meet me and they're like, okay, I can relax. Yeah, nigga.
It's probably a whole different, topic altogether. But yeah, I mean, it's more so a cultural thing. Black as a black man, it's more so. In the home, it's like you're taught to, I guess nowadays I'll call it the traditional way, be a man, put in work, don't show emotions as much, don't be soft, don't do what you gotta do, and when you go out in the world, it's you gotta look out for other things. As a black man, like you gotta look out for authority. You gotta look out for the women. You gotta look out for other men be plotting. And you just gotta figure out who you can and cannot trust. And I would say when you find a woman that is actually supportive, when you find a woman that is actually a mental amp for you, then yeah, you'll probably become more vulnerable. You'll be like, oh snap, like I can actually say what I'm feeling without being called a punk. It's definitely a so she's like, oh, my brother's like, oh, he cried in your lap, man. So you know what I'm saying? Like you hear another man to be like, oh, you was crying in her lap. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You might get clowned on. But when you're in that, when you find a woman that you can be safe with, and you do that, there's nothing wrong with it because if that's just a random woman, I don't know. But if that is your woman, and you can do that, that's a good thing because now you can let go of all of that, baggage and relax, and that there's nothing wrong with it. If you're just wearing your heart on your sleeve to every person you meet, I don't know, that's something different. But again, that's like a whole different conversation. But like just as a cultural standpoint, as a black man, there's so much to look out for, so much to be on guard with. When you can let down your guard, it's a whole different feeling.
Yeah, and I think one thing I did learn from having the experience I have dating men and kind of just observing people, like when people break up or like they get mad at their partner, like the things that you did tell them, they're like, oh yeah, my mom treated me like this and stuff, and then they be like, that's why your mama, and then it's like, oh god. Okay, I can see how you might not want to tell people about your life if that's how people are using things against you, and I'm like, yeah, that's wild. Like, I I like to know and get to know someone on that level about like how they grew up and stuff. So like when things do come up or I see you like having some type of issue, like man, I don't care who you are, I'm analyzing everything and I'm like I'm taking these in, but that's so I can like know how to treat you and not use it against you. It's like, okay, you said that, you didn't get hugs as a child or something like that and anything. So I'm like, well, if you have like intimacy issues and stuff like that, I want to like know that, so I'm not just because I'm the type of I don't like being touched. So, so that's why I'm just like, okay, I need to be like mindful of these things because a dude can tell me everything about himself, but he might not know nothing about me. Like I scratch the surface and like let people think that they know, but it's like, plus going back to the question of things that you may have gotten from your parents, I could disappear at any moment. I'm just like my father in that way, and I realize that, and I'm just like, oh man. And that's why, like, two of the relationships I've been in where, like, the guys seem like kind of real serious about, like, getting married and having a family, and I was like, something deep within me is just like, no, you need to leave now because I don't know if you might not be the person that needs to be married, Deja, because yeah, like what I was more concerned for the other person because I was like, I know that I could, live that life and like settle down. I could do it. I see my mom do it. I have like those same, abilities and like the mindset to do it. Like, all right, if I get married, I'll act right. But it was just it. So I'm always like, Taylor, no, you need to leave. And so at first I was like, so Prince will start playing in my head, and I'm like, maybe I'm just like my father, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to be laying there one day with my husband in the bed, and kids in the next room, and be like, wake up like, I don't think. I don't think I like this. Like I'm gonna just leave because I'll be like my dad, and I'm taking my child. Yeah, because the baby will be mine. Like, hey, you could start over. Like, we're still young. You have to have some more kids. I'll let you see them, but I'm not with none of this. And once I started like having that thought, and there was like some feeling attached, I was like, I'm with someone that wants to get married and have a kid. And I'm starting to think all this stuff, and I was like, how do I tell them? Because everything in the relationship is fine, but I'm starting to be like, like I don't want to get in the way of a man's like desire and his vision for his life. So when a dude starts talking about marriage and stuff, I was like, maybe I should probably tell him that I don't want that. But then I realized once I started doing that, niggas are trying to change my mind, and I'm like, oh, you can't change my mind. Like that's gonna be where you mess up trying to change my mind because it's not like this is something deep within me. It's not just like, oh, I don't think I feel like it. Like no, I know that I shouldn't, and I don't want I don't want to fuck up your life, man. Like because I feel like I might. So even now, like a lot of the dudes they tried to pursue me and stuff. They're all married with kids and stuff, and I was like, I love seeing that because I would have been a deterrent. Like like look at your beautiful children, you be happy with your wife and stuff. Like I love seeing stuff like that. And I'm just like, I wouldn't have wanted to get in the way. That side of me that is like my dad, I'm just like, yeah, that's starting to come out more the older I get and the more I decide like what I really want. And I think it did start out with before. It's like looking at my childhood and like seeing how we turned out. I was like, so every child in this family is gonna have mental illness. Like, how do we? Like, I'm not trying to carry that on, nigga. Especially like with my genes. Like, we get it from both sides. Like, yeah, it's just I don't know. I'd like to make light of things, especially when it comes to like my. I don't know. Every time I say it to somebody, they're just like, but Listen, Outcast, that I was listening to a Gemini one time, and I was just like, oh man, my dad's an Aquarius and my mom's a Gemini, and then they had like 3 Outcasts, so I was like, nigga, that's crazy. But whenever I say that, especially to a family member, I feel like I feel their judgment. Like, this nigga is silly. I'm just like, it made sense to me. And then ironically, I don't even think I ever said it to my dad, but we was talking about music one day, and he's like, oh yeah, I love Outkast. And I was like, I'm definitely gonna have to do a part 2 to this. And you are welcome to join. I would love to have like all of my brothers, all of our brothers and just do this. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like at this point, when it comes to like my parents of kind of having any type of influence when it comes to how I conduct myself in relationships, like, again, I feel like I have a pretty good balance. Like, as long as, I can be this way, nurturing and be in a healthy relationship, but also don't think you own me, because I can disappear at any moment. Like, I would... There was one person. There was one person that kind of made me like start doing things the right way and be like, oh, I'm not really feeling this, and I can tell that you're trying to move on and be serious. Thankfully, even though I don't like when people try to hook me up with people, but in this instance, it was a good thing, because one of my real good friends, like, she was married, and his brother, I was getting stationed out in like Everett or something like that, and so they're like, we can do double dates and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, these are my niggas, so his brother has to be cool, and he was. But when he started talking about like what he wanted for his life and stuff like that, like, I was like, oh, yeah, you're cool, and I enjoy spending time with you and like dating you and stuff. Like, we'd be on the phone for like 4 or 5 hours, everything was cool. But I was like, I know it won't end bad because we were both like mature enough, but I also can't just disappear on this nigga because, like, besides the fact that he's just cool, that's not the right thing to do. And so I think I was around like 23, 24, and I was like, you need to be mature about the situation and just talk to him. Like, if you can talk to this nigga for 4 or 5 hours, you can be like talking to him for 5 minutes and be like, hey, like, I don't see this going any further. But I don't remember exactly even what I said, but he was understanding of, where I was. So I was like, see, I can be mature and just not disappear on niggas and stuff. But then I realized that not everybody was, especially around that age, they're not going to take it. They're not going to take it nicely. Even if you are, like, being mature about it, some niggas will be like, what? So it's just like, all right, so I feel like you are someone I can just disappear on because you don't seem very mentally stable. But then it's just like, something within me attracted this. So I'm just like, I should learn this person and try to figure out how to deal with them. But that's just too much energy. Like, I'm out. Like,
relationships are work. For real. They are work. At least when you being serious about it.
Yeah.
It'll be work.
I'm just like, I haven't talked to a dude in like years, so I feel like I would probably be in a better, more mature space. So I'm just like,
that's a double-edged sword too. You'd be like, oh, okay, you grow yourself, but you also you start setting some ways, Like, my mom's matured for sure, but she's setting ways. She's like, nah, you ain't gonna tell me nothing. Like, what, mom? Like, I get it, they won't tell you what to do because you're a grown woman, but at the same time, they're like, nah, I ain't getting told nothing. Like, yeah.
That's why I think my mom says that I'm a lot like your mom when it comes to like dealing with men. And she's like, you guys always end up with stalkers. And I'm like, he's not a stalker. He just knew where I work, And I'm like,
she knew your license plate by heart. No.
Yeah, because my mom, like, at first I was like, she must think that she's funny, because even if I hadn't talked to a dude in years, she would mention her name, and then within like a week or two, they just hit me up, and I'm like, Mom, you did this. I ain't smoked or seen this person in years, and you want to bring him up, and now he's on my phone. Like, you think you're funny, don't you? But, yeah, but I think that's because very rarely does it necessarily end badly, especially if I actually, like, claim the person, and, like, we're, like, in a relationship. Like, me and all those niggas, we cool. Like, which is funny that I say that, because a lot of them, since I've been posting, they be hitting me up like, hey, I'll be listening, and I'm just like, oh, won't be talking about you. But yeah, I wasn't put on this earth. I was not put on this earth to beef with niggas. I'm here to, like, care and love people and, like, all that type of stuff. Like, I'm not here to, like, create chaos. And that's why I'm just like, even if a dude tries to end things badly sometimes, I'm like, no, nigga, give me a hug, nigga. We're not doing all this right now. Because honestly, I don't know. I be caring about people and shit, so I was like, I don't want to treat you wrong, and that's why not being an alcoholic really helped, because I snapped on a couple of dudes once, and it was like, man, I know that wasn't you, it's just what I'm dealing with internally. I could have handled that better, but nigga, I'm gonna go drink a beer. I don't know. I feel like I have some balance now with what I've gotten from both of my parents, but yeah, we'll see what I attract from here on out, because I think I'm in a much better space now. But yeah, I feel like I've dated, like, cool dudes and stuff. That's why we so cool now. I have, like, nothing bad to say about people. Like, I feel like that's probably a lot from, like, reflecting and things like that. Because sometimes people are like, oh, remember that nigga did this? And I'm like, I don't think about the negative things that happen in my relationship, because I'm just looking at them as a person, and, like, I'm like, oh, nigga, I love that nigga. Like, he's cool. Like, I just don't be having no problems. So I don't know. I hear people always just still, like, kind of in that same loop and thinking negatively about people that they was with. And my mom was also a good example when it came to that, because she has really great things to say about my dad, but she's aware that he has some issues. So it's just like, yeah, I'm glad to be in, like, the space that I am now when it comes to relationships, because yeah, I don't know. I might not come off as a loving and caring person, but I hear a sleep in my head that's like, well, love these hoes, but I kind of do. Like, they're not hoes, my bad. Like,
damn, man, those hoes. Like, all right, yo.
Yeah, well, you heard me on the phone earlier. I don't like to say ex, so I say old work. And then that's like, I don't think that's any better, Tasia.
Yeah, I mean, like, go ahead and comment, like, hey, would you rather be called old work? Like, oh, that's my old work. Like, you worked on me and threw me away. Right on.
No, because I can hear at least one of them saying that. Yeah, like, even X, old work, X just seems negative. But that's why I was like, I don't like to say it. So sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it's a homie or something like that, because I just feel so far removed from having any feelings for them. So I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I just suppress everything. That's why I feel like I only have good things to say. No, I'm just playing. No, it's not suppressing. I work through my stuff. But oh man, I liked it. I was like, oh, we only have 5 questions, but then I was for like 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, some it's that loop that turns into a rabbit hole. Like, create that circle and you just dig in that circle. And you have to dig back out and trying to make sense of what you was talking about in the first.
Yeah, and I constantly go off on tangents, as I did, the last couple hours. But it's like, what? That's why if I have someone here, they can kind of get me back on track, or I can be like,
yeah, but I couldn't just yell at you to shut up. No,
just reach over and pause it, and like, enough, and then just press play. I wanted to have some type of, like, music segment, and that's one thing that I will say that my parents, like, I'm very thankful. My dad's a musician, and my mom just loves music. I listened to the music that she listened to when she was even younger than me, so that's why I was like, I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe we could play like, a song or two that like we just feel like might resonate with us, and whether it has to do with this topic or not, but something like your parents put you on to. Because I will say, your mom's the one that kind of was like, oh yeah, you've loved Stevie Wonder ever since he was like real little. Like we would put him on, and apparently I was a mean baby and I didn't smile. And so she's like, you put on Stevie Wonder, you act like you wasn't angry anymore. I guess artist exists. He's like my favorite person because I don't know. I feel like especially if I would get into like a very just not great place mentally, I will replay Stevie Wonder's Saturn. Like that, I don't know what it is about that song, but I just got like a chill. Even like when I said that, because I was I was in Miami, I think, in a hotel, and because I was there for a work conference, and like the person I was with at the time, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to go." I think they wanted to go to like a strip club or something like that, and I was like, "Oh well, you have fun," because I don't even eat chicken, and I would only go there to eat because I heard that strip club chicken wings are like super good, and but I was like, you can go and have fun. Um, and then I was just in the hotel by myself, and I just felt like a wave of like depression. A nice little blanket of depression just laid on me, and I was just like, oh, I need to listen to Stevie Wonder. And so I just put on Saturn on repeat, and oh, excuse me, I put Saturn on repeat, and I think I cried a little bit, but then I was like, this is my song. So then I got in a better mood. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's been very helpful to my life because normally it's like when I get into a depressive episode, it was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to DMX, listen to some pocket stuff. That's what I did in school. I was 7 o'clock in the morning with my headphones on, like life, man. Like I hate this. Dude. Listen to Mac Dre's like "Life's a Bitch." Like I just think it was gonna help me be able to like function for the rest of my school day. Yeah, so I'm very thankful for like those things because my mom put me on to like some good music, and my dad kind of helped me be more open to like other forms of music because he likes rock and like metal and all that stuff. Now, granted, I don't just be turning that stuff on, but if someone is like likes that type of music, I'm not gonna be like, man, I'm not messing with that because I'm like, oh, this reminds me of my dad. Yeah, I'll listen.
Definitely some oldies that I will always enjoy. But for me, when if I don't even know what I want to listen to, I will just throw on some lo-fi. I I love some lo-fi music. Um, no, I like jazz too, but I mainly lean towards lo-fi nowadays because um, I just like the sounds. Like sometimes I don't feel like hearing people speak. Like I really don't care what you have to say like right now. Like, and so I'm just like, and no matter I can still like the song, but I'm like I don't care. I don't care what you're saying right now. Like I just want to hear a nice beat or something. And I always throw on some lo-fi and be chilling. Like that's, and I'll probably go on a lo-fi kick for almost a good month. I'll just be listening. I would be finding new lo-fi to listen to. I'll listen to the ones I already do, and that'll be it. Like I will not hear no one talk about nothing for a good almost month. And I'm just chilling. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I used to listen to music 24/7. Like you couldn't catch me without headphones on. Like I always had music playing, and then I got a girlfriend and a wife, and I couldn't have my headphones in all the time because they'd be mad. And then like I listened to music when I went to sleep, and music would be playing when I go to sleep, and then I had to stop doing that because my wife had to sleep in silence. So, but I mean, yeah, no. But yeah, just some chill beats and whatnot. Like I'm always down for that.
Yeah. I feel like you're one of the only people that I will accept music from. Like, oh yeah, this song is cool, and I'll actually listen to the person. But other people, I judge them, and I'm like, you recommend me music, but I'm probably never gonna listen to it because. Thank you for having this conversation with me. We could probably do part 2, 3, 4, actually like talking about this subject, but that will be later. People have like wives and children, and we gotta be responsible.
And maybe I don't know. I feel like we answered the questions, but not really because we went on such tangents that we just went somewhere else. And I'm like, dang, I don't even know if we answered the questions.
Shadow mental illness.
Right?
Oh man, all I'll say is one of the things that I wanted to put up is like, anything you want to get off your chest. And if you haven't listened to Zach Fox, stop judging me. Listen, when I heard this song, I think you was at work and I texted you the song. I was like, nigga, have you heard this? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, you know what? Obviously, of course, you would have heard this. So one song I wrote down because I was like, well, if we're going to be talking about mental health, that's the first thing I heard was he's like shadow mental illness. Have anything on your mind you want to get off your chest, just to do it?
Shoot, maybe, but I would say it's a deep topic, parents in general, mental illness. I was say illness.
Mental wellness and illness. That know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. It's a deep topic. There's many angles to tackle it on, and there's so many different ways that it can be handled. Even though some people will tell you there's a right way, I feel like there's different avenues with the right way. It just depends on you, and it depends on how you decide to go about it. For some people, it's one way, and then for somebody else, it won't necessarily be the exact same way. As long as it's not destructive. But I would say with the mental illness, try and explore different avenues. Try and explore what you feel is the right, like I said, not destructive, but try different methods, because one way won't work for another person. With parents, you heard from her, like, there's some stuff going on, but she still managed to make her way to have a relationship with both her parents. And for me, I tried, and it didn't work out that way. And I'm not really looking to reconcile, but anymore. I tried to be the bigger person about it, but it didn't work out that way. And so, there's different avenues for different people. All I'm saying is try and give those a chance to make yourself better. Not for anybody else but you. And then, you can focus on the other people later, but on yourself, try and explore the different avenues. Try to explore different ways to make your relationships, your mental health better.
That just made me think, like, I have a lot of people that I love that are parenting their parents, and that doesn't seem like the most fun thing to have to go through, because you're kind of looking at them for guidance and like learning from them, but they're the one acting like the child or just like making your life hard for no reason. And a lot of parents don't like their children, but it's just like, I want to talk to people like that, because what is wrong with your brain? Like, you had this child and you're just like, nah, I'm gonna treat you like shit. Like, yeah, but I don't want to go off, because I started thinking about people and I'm just like, ooh, if I just don't tell me about your parents, because then you have me meet them. I just want to shake them. Like, what's wrong with you? Your child is an angel. Yeah. I would say, like, even though, I was speaking positively and be like, I made the choice to not be around my dad because, he's tripping and, we just didn't want to. Keep it real. Like, I never thought that me and my dad would be how we are now, just laughing and joking and stuff, because I was like, I don't dislike you, but I don't like you either. Like, I don't care if you're, like, in my life. I just assumed, like, when I was younger, I was just probably gonna never see him. I was gonna get a call and be like, oh, your dad's dead. And I'm gonna be like, okay. And then I was just gonna keep moving on with my life. Like, I was very detached in that sense. Like, I know I always loved my dad, but I don't know, I just didn't care. Like, we had other things going on. So I'm thankful that, like, me and him are the way that we are. We ain't like this, like me and my mama or anything like that. But, I mean, my dad is a big-ass kid, and I say the same thing about myself. And so I'm just like, I mean, if I dislike him, that's a part of myself that I don't like, because I realize how much we are alike, and I'm just like, I'm actually glad I'm this way, and I'm glad to see exactly where I got it from. Like, if he ever does make his way down here to ever visit me, that would be funny to have him on camera, because I could edit it, but then y'all can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, sometimes you do have to just not involve your parent in your healing, even if you're healing from something that they said or did to you, because one perspective that I did have to take on, especially when, like, my parents started apologizing to me for things, and I don't know what it is. I don't like people apologizing to me, because it's like, why? Like, I don't. But I guess, well, I view apologizing, that's for the person that's actually doing it, so they feel better and can work through things and get confirmation I forgave them. But I'm like, why do you care about me forgiving you, nigga? Like, and so I
want your validation.
It was, whether it was my mom or my dad, I'm just like, they helped me take on the perspective that, like, my mom was 29 when she had me, and she had already had 3 other kids and lost one. And I'm like, I wouldn't be sane if I was you. Like, all the stuff you did with my dad, and then raising us, and then the childhood that, our mothers had, like, I didn't want to talk about their childhood too much, because, maybe one day I can get one, but, I was like, you don't have to apologize to me for anything. Like, you were young and just figuring out, like you said, like, you don't have no real example. You're just, going, I got a baby now, so I got to figure out, how I want to be and how I want to raise her and how blunt I want to be. So, in my mind, I was like, I feel like I experience things for a reason, and life is happening for me and not to me. Like, my parents never, like, did anything to me. Like, I feel like you were raising me how you knew how to raise me. And my childhood was way better than both of you guys, despite all the stuff that happened. Like, yeah, I feel like I was comfortable. I always felt, like, safe no matter what was going on. And that's why I'm just like, apologizing for what? Y'all fed me, clothed me, had a roof over my head, even though sometimes it was a car. Like, nigga, we wasn't just out here. Like, yeah, so I'm like, I'm thankful for, the way I was raised and the things that I experienced. Like, I wouldn't want to have a child and them have the childhood I had outside of, the, feeling safe part. But, but yeah, like, my mom was young when she got married. She didn't have the greatest example when it came to, being a parent. She just knew pretty much what not to do. And yeah, that's how I'm just like, I'll be telling them thank you. And I know when I'm talking about my mom, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, this nigga, but that's just how we talk. All right? Because me and my mom have a totally different relationship. I didn't think that I'd cuss in front of her and everything, but she allowed me to. It wasn't until I was like in my 20s, though, because I slipped in front of her, and she was like, shit's fucked up right now, it's fine. And I was like, and Mom, I'm like, oh, that's aggressive. Even though that's exactly how I talk. Hearing it from my mom, I'm like, sweet angel, it's cussing. Like, what's happening right now? But yeah, I feel like I forgot where I was going with that. But, kind of just changing my perspective with, where my parents might have been mentally and emotionally when they had me and things that were going on. It helped me be like, both of you guys was doing the best that you could with what you had. That just reminded me of that Mariah Carey clip. Have you seen that? Okay. She was on the mic and she's like, I'm doing the best I can with what I got. Sorry, that plays in my head like every day when I'm trying to do stuff. But yeah, and that's how I feel now. Like, I love and accept my parents and all the things that they have gone through. And I realize that sometimes having conversations with my mom, I'll ask her questions and like ask her about things, and she's like, I never thought of it that way, or like, I'm just like, oh, so maybe sometimes like the kids would just be scared to ask their parents things, especially if you grew up how we did, like you don't ask questions. like you shut up and you go sit at the little kids table and go outside and quit being in grown folks' business. But it's like, yeah, I'm grown now. I don't care. I'm asking you this question. Another tangent. I need to end this because I will just keep talking. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, especially if you watch this whole thing. That's crazy, but also thank you.
First episode, the extra length, you know what I mean? You get that.
Sorry, I'll be mature one day.
Nasty. You get that, you get that extra. So, appreciate that. First episode, mental health and parents, and that's only the surface. So always more to learn, always more to know.
Yeah, and there'll at least be a part 2, if not more. I gotta force our brothers to come in and talk.
Learn technology. No.
Yeah, none of this would have happened without you, clearly. Thank you. This has been the Mental Greens podcast, and yeah, I appreciate the love and support that I've gotten even before anyone's seen the episode. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate every comment, and I'm open to constructive criticism, any type of suggestions or topics or anything like that, because I can talk about anything, really, unless it's like technology, because then I'm going to sound like I'm 80. But other than that, yeah, if you have any, suggestions or topics that you would like me to discuss, or, maybe discussing any of these things, in the comments, any questions. I do want to be open to people asking me questions, and then I will answer them in the next podcast, or if you have questions for him, then tell him that he needs to just be a co-host. Then
I don't want to steal your thunder. No.
Yeah, you will. You're cooler than me. But I really do appreciate anyone that, listens, comments, shares, likes it, asks any kind of questions, any feedback, anything like that. It's always welcome and appreciated. So, yeah.
Mental Greens.